Welcome, everybody. We've got Andy back on the show.
Here.
It's been a minute.
I know.
We're happy to be reunited here. And we thought we'd explore this topic we did a video on a while ago of the golden age. Are we entering into the golden age of CCGs? I think I made this about a year ago. We talked about this. And are we in the golden age or did we? What happened? 2025 feels a little whack to me. I don't
Yeah,
know. This is the golden age. I don't know if I want to be here anymore.
not really trying to get into like deep real life stuff, but like the world's just a little bit crazy at the moment, and I think that's trickled down into different markets, into different hobbies, into day-to-day life, and like that just kind of threw a wrench in to what the golden age was. I still think there's some interesting stuff happening, but it's definitely different than I would have anticipated it whenever we made that video in like summer of 24 or something.
Yeah, I mean, so look at like the big buckets, right? So you have like the big three, like the original case for why we were entering into this golden age is like you had this really rich ecosystem that was developing. You had like the big three, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, that were continuing to put out hits, which is true, right? They still are. I mean, we're on the precipice of probably the biggest Magic set in history. Yeah, coming out. Pokemon has weirdos lining up at Target for days, like camped out. It's like the good old days of Black Friday when they had actually good deals for Pokemon. It's like, and then Yu-Gi-Oh is just doing something. It's like
Nobody's heard from Yu-Gi-Oh in 20 years, but somehow it's still number 3.
yeah, their players are like brawling with each other over like blue-eye dragons. It's like the big three are healthy, and then you have this sort of next tier of Lorcana, Star Wars Unlimited, Flesh and Blood, that I think are kind of doing like maybe this is why it doesn't feel as good as I think that mid tier feels like they maybe dropped the ball a little bit. Like Lorcana in particular feels like they're just kind of
spinning their wheels.
They're just floating, and it's like, what do you guys want to do in stores? Like my local game shop stopped carrying it about a month ago, and I think that's the general trend where it's just not interesting.
Yeah, I think they have like my local game store. They still have it, of course, but even if you go into Target or whatever, you can find it on shelves. So all of that whole hype from when it first launched is just long gone. And I don't know, I think they're going to be doing some type of a rotation at some point soon, which got people kind of nuts about it because I think that game had a lot of first time CCG players.
Yeah.
So like rotation was not something that I think they were necessarily expecting or really even understood. I mean, probably it's good for the game because once you start getting into like 8, 9, 10 sets, like the complexity curve just shoots up dramatically. Although there doesn't really seem to be like a lot of new mechanics. It's just kind of like retreading the same stuff, it feels like. This Donald Duck has whatever it's called, Shift 4. This Donald Duck has Shift 2 and Bodyguard. And it's like, okay, you did the same thing in the last set on just different characters.
Yeah, I guess presenting my general CCG theory is every game on some level is a Magic clone. It's about how you choose to distinguish yourself as sets come out that matter, right? And I think Star Wars Unlimited has distinguished itself. It doesn't feel like a Magic clone. It's at 20 life or whatever, 30 base. It's similar, but like it feels a little more interesting, right?
I definitely think Star Wars Unlimited's a much better game and in a much better place, to be honest. It has fewer sets, right? They're gearing up for set 5. I think the thing that's really holding Star Wars Unlimited back is a lack of a digital client. But they can't really solve that because EA holds the rights to produce digital games for Lucasfilm. So they're just kind of stuck, and it's like they can't really grow, I guess. And maybe that's some saturation of this kind of mid tier level of CCGs. Like they're not really competing with the big three. I mean, maybe like a little bit, of course. They're in the ecosystem, but like their main competitors are like Lorcana, Flesh and Blood, One Piece, that type of stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's hard to like grow because like most people who play another game, right? They're playing Magic or they're Pokemon collectors or something, and they get into it, or they're playing Lorcana, and it's like, well, I don't want to have 3 or 4 games because I don't have the time to play 3 or 4 games. So you just kind of hit this like natural plateau of like what realistically you can have as far as your player base.
No, I think that's spot on. And I think that really that mid tier that we're describing, that's like where I had the most hope for the most
Same.
sort of innovation and growth and interesting ideas. I think you can go one tier lower if we're still thinking about like why this was exciting, right? Is because also there was this like tier below where it felt like there was a bajillion Kickstarter games, sorcery, and which was the first a bunch, and then like we're just not really sure what's going to happen with a lot of those games right now. They kind of feel like they're just like stuck in like Kickstarter land.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of up and coming products that just haven't proven themselves yet, and I'm hopeful for some of them. Some of them look like great games, but I think that yeah, that mid tier like Flesh and Blood just seems to be like, hey, we're gonna be Magic organized play from 2012. We're gonna have big pro tours and Grand Prix, and like we're gonna be focused heavily on like pro play and like Magic did that. And what Magic found was that doesn't let you grow your game. Magic found that they needed Commander, right? And you'll see this like market difference between the like play the game, see the world era of Magic when it was all about the Pro Players Club and pro play and Grand Prix and the tournament circuit and organized play, and like Magic now where it's all just 4-player Commander games. And it's like they grew a ton on 4-player Commander games because they abandoned the organized play, which Flesh and Blood's trying to like pick up and be. And it's like, but that's not really going to get you anywhere with your game. Like, great, that's a fantastic thing to have, is that type of organized play. But if you're not going to take on, you're not really going to grow out of this mid-tier game. And that's where I think that a game like Flesh and Blood is really like, what is the point of your game at this point? You have like 15 sets out now. Where are you going with this?
Well, I think like there's a couple thoughts here. One, I think with every game, you right now you have to choose like, do you want to go the collecting route or do you want to go the playing route? Like One Piece, just go the collecting route. Like I don't think there's even a game to play there, right? Like whatever.
MetaZoo from 5 years ago.
Yeah, but Pokemon is taking the collecting route. Like just,
right.
And it's serving them very well to like feed their community the right collecting, and I don't even know what the foils are even called anymore. I like that the foiling technology is too advanced for my brain to even comprehend reverse hollow SRS foil patterning. But like they've just taken that path, and I think the other way is your game really fun to play? And I think the problem with that path is the hollowing out of local game stores is real, right? Like I'm in a city of over 1 million people, and there's one game store. If you go to the metro area, yeah, then you get to 6 million people. Like there's 5, 6 game stores, but it is not super economical to run a game store anymore. And I know I'm saying this as like Magic has never been bigger than ever before, but I don't know if playing Magic in person has ever been bigger than ever. I think a lot of people are playing on Arena. A lot of people are posting on Facebook or Reddit or whatever. But I don't know if like
their house or they're with their buddies.
Yeah, I don't know if like there's never been more chairs filled at local game stores than at this moment. It feels like, frankly, there's probably less local game stores there's ever been. And it's a historic. If you want to lose $500,000, open a game store for 5 years. Like,
right.
Great way to squander an inheritance right there.
right. Yeah, that's like that joke. How do you become a millionaire running a game store? Start with start with 2 million and lose a million of $1 million, right? Um, but yeah, it's like I think that goes back to the idea that I just said with Fantasy Flight having digital games. Like digital space is just really big. It's like you said, you're either a collector. You either sell your game at Target and Costco, or you sell your game at a local game store. And if you're selling at a Target, you're probably targeting your collector audience. They're just gonna like grade cards or put them in binders and try and flip them and make 5x on their card. Or you're selling in local game stores and it's going to be the same 8 guys or 6 to 10 guys that come every week to play in their league event, and that's it. And lack of like Magic, yeah, it has Arena. Pokemon has the PSA Pop Report, as their little, but like if you don't have a digital platform, like I don't really know how you're going to reach these kind of audiences, because that's just where everybody is. They're online.
Yeah, I think there's another thing that's happening that this makes it feel like a bit of a darker golden age, where it feels like the increased collectability of all of these and higher thresholds and tiers of cards has kind of made this feel more akin to gambling. And this has also led to the rip and ship trend, right?
Mhm.
Like the number of TikTok, Instagram, whatnot, or whatever stores that basically just open packs and mail it to you. I think that's like, I can't decide if that's good or bad for these
Yeah,
hobbies.
I,
Um,
I I watch a bunch of like sports cards people, just following it because there's a lot of crossover and bleed
yeah,
like stuff, and they're just kind of going through the same thing where it's like there's collectors who want to build sets, and then there's people who are just chasing hits. And right now, like the population, the people who are like into it are just, they want to see hits, right? Because people's attention spans is only 20 seconds long, so you could make a TikTok short or a YouTube short or something of you ripping a pack and oh, I hit, show me,
oh my god,
and then it's done. You're on to the next one. Nobody wants to sit there and be like, here's my 20-page binder, and here's a bunch of base cards, and this card was the last card I need. Like nobody's going to sit through that video.
or alternatively, no one wants to sit through the video. It's like, this card is a really good card for playing. Let me bring out the 6 cards to combo it with. Like no one actually wants like a 6-minute analysis of the meta of why this card you pulled is super interesting. They're just like, oh, TCG player, eBay said that's $160. The pack was only $25. Therefore, I'm a genius.
I made $140. Look how easy it is. You can do it too. Here's some
Right.
scratch offs.
And so I think that like that's happened for a long time in sports, but I just feel like it puts a bit of a pale over this golden age when a lot of it just feels like a trip to like the local slot machine. And
I think that you've said it before, like dumb money follows dumb trends. And I feel like at some point a lot of these people are just gonna move on to like whatever the next like dumb thing they can invest their crypto money into. And then it's probably going to crash a lot of the CCG market at some point, which will probably herald the end of the golden age, because nobody's going to buy your Kickstarter game. Nobody's going to care about these like mid-level games, and Magic will still be around and Pokemon will still be around. But, that's kind of where I see the future going, is like at some point all these guys just leave, go on to their next thing, and players are left holding the bag. Which
I think spending, frankly, the most of my time in the last 5 years in the dead, out of print CCG space has made me very much a cynic, and also adopting that perspective where I've just seen games come and go. I've seen people get obsessed and almost gorge themselves on collecting, and they need to have every version of things. And then 3 months later, they're like posting the same stuff they just bought for like 40% less. But like, oh, need to pay for my van payment or something. And I'm like, I just like, it's like I've seen like some dark sides of like
Yeah,
financial mismanagement with hobbies. And so
you
I just,
probably were better off putting it in a CD 13 months ago.
very likely, this is not investing advice. If it was, I would say don't buy cards as investments. We are not
Mm,
rooting here.
no.
Um, so I think for me, in conclusion, I think that I think we're still in this golden age. There's lots of ideas and lots of new things entering the market. It just feels like there is this sort of rain cloud over everything right now, and like the question of tariffs doesn't help, right? Like I had a Kickstarter I funded for a board game where they're like, yeah, we might not be able to get this if there's 2,000% tariffs. Like it's just like it feels like the entire making random things in foreign countries that get shipped here and sold to the US market is in peril a little bit, and everyone just kind of like not sure what to do about it.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat as you. At the end of the day, I think there's a lot of really still cool games out there that are coming out or just kind of come out and are trying to get their feet wet in the ecosystem. But who knows how it's really going to shake out? It's kind of crazy times, and we'll see. Maybe we do a recap video in 6 months or 8 months and be like, yeah, we were right. The sky fell. Or maybe it's, no, we were wrong. Everything bounced back and was great. Who
uh,
knows? Stay tuned for more. Like and subscribe.
yeah, I think 2025 is not shaping up to be the collecting year I thought it would be, but maybe it's not the collecting year we need, it's the collecting year we deserve.
There you go. I like that. That's a good ending. Thanks, Matt.
All right. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Like, subscribe, and see you guys later.